Insolvency doesn't just threaten your business, it strips you, the director, of control. And that is why so many directors feel humiliated, powerless and lost when it comes to putting the business through insolvency. Because the moment your company can't pay its debts on time, your legal duty shifts. You no longer act for the shareholders. Your duty is now to the creditors and ensuring that the positions aren't made any worse. Now, if you don't understand this shift, and it happens overnight, you can make the wrong decision. And these decisions will backfire. You say the wrong thing, you sign the wrong document, you ignore a warning that shouldn't be ignored. And suddenly, you are on the hook personally for limited company debts. Now, I want to dig into why I think people feel so powerless when they hit that point of insolvency. And I think a lot of it is because of the legal duty shift. Company law says that once you know that your business is insolvent, let's just dig into that. You can't pay your debts when they fall due. So you might be on a time to pay arrangement. You might be robbing Peter to pay Paul every month. Or your liabilities are more than your assets. So you total up all your assets, money due in, cash in the bank, and you have a look at what you owe out, and you owe out more than what you've basically got in the pot. Now, those two things on their own don't necessarily you need to shut the doors. The thing you've got to think about is, have I got any genuine hope of recovery here? Not positive thinking, not affirmations, not writing goals. In the pit of your stomach, do you believe that you can recover from this insolvency? And if you can't, you've got to be really, really careful, okay? And I think this is the bit that people feel powerless over, because let's say they become insolvent. They've not put the business through liquidation or administration or another insolvency tool, but now the creditors come first. Like, you're not there to try and maximize profit anymore. You're not there to try and, I don't know, I need to earn this much money to take my family on holiday or to buy this car. Or it changes, and that's why I think people suddenly feel powerless, because the role is no longer about building. It is about protecting others, damage limitation. Now, I want to talk to you about the insolvency practitioner and their role in all of this, because if you've got no hope of recovery, you need to appoint a licensed insolvency practitioner, okay? And once they're appointed, they control everything. So they take over the bank account. You'll lose access to the bank account once you sign your liquidation notices. They'll take control of assets, and they will sell assets to realise money for creditors. Obviously, you can't authorise payments. You can't get hold of any money then. And you can't sign off on anything, because as soon as the insolvency practitioner is appointed, they're in charge. And for many directors, that feels like their identity has been stripped away. And listen, I really understand the emotional reality of this, because I've been there. Listen, guys, I'm not an insolvency practitioner. I've never taken the exam. I do director advisory, and I'm the best in the UK at doing it. Most highly regarded on places like Trustpilot. And I was where you was at about 10 years ago. I had to place a business through insolvency, and it were awful. Like, literally, I didn't know where to turn. Every website that I read was a little bit different to the other one. And I physically went out and sat down with insolvency practitioners, and it was a really terrible experience, because no one gave me a straight answer. Everyone made me feel really uncomfortable, like I was a criminal or a naughty schoolboy. And the emotional hit was huge. One week out with the boss, making the decisions, and I fell into the trap of positive thinking, because my industry, it closed overnight. But I've read that much personal development, I'm dangerous with it. And I'm thinking, this is an opportunity, we'll get through this. And the reality was the business was over. And from going to work, and I worked really hard, and I employed people I knew and I really cared about, And the next thing, I've handed over control and being questioned about the decisions that I made that I thought were in the best interest of the company. You're going to end up sitting in meetings where your role is to hand over records. You're not there to lead. You're there to get questioned about the decisions you've made. And that is why directors spiral, I think. That's why I spiraled. Listen, the dynamic flipped overnight, and it was a real difficult time to live through. And do you know what? I think the reason why people feel so powerless is there are some real risks, and people don't always tell you about them on day one. So I'm going to tell you about the things you should be worried about. I'm going to tell you the things that you might be powerless over once you're in an insolvency process, but you're not powerless today. And the first thing is personal guarantees. This was one of the first shocks for me. I had an overdraft with a bank, and me and my ex-business partner had signed joint and several liability. It basically means they would come for both of us. And this is embarrassing, but at the time, my co-director must have been better advised than me because he wanted to, he basically made them a full and final offer. We had a 25 grand overdraft. He offered them 2 grand. They accepted it and they came to me for the other 23. And I wanted to use this bank for some financing in property. So I was like, right, well, I'm going to have to take it on the chin. But any loan, overdraft with a personal guarantee will survive an insolvency. The bank will pursue you directly once the insolvency practitioner gets appointed. A lot of people think like company limited liability is protection, no debts can follow you. But guarantees will cut through that, and they'll cut through it instantly. And it's not just loans and overdrafts. You might have supplier debts that you've PG'd. You might have personally guaranteed car leases. You might have personally guaranteed the office that you're in, the premises that you're in. You might have personally guaranteed any dilapidations claims in your office or premises. And that's basically you have got to put right the building that you're in. You've got to put it into the same condition of when you took the lease on. There is another big risk, okay? And I know not everyone talks about this, right? I do. I scream from the hilltops about it. They're called directors' loan accounts. And when they become overdrawn, this is a hidden risk. Because if you've been drawing money out of the company that isn't through the payroll, okay, you might call it a dividend. But you can't take a dividend from a company that's not paying all its bills on time. It's become insolvent, okay? Now, if you are watching this video or you are thinking about going through an insolvency process, at some stage, you've become insolvent. Therefore, anything you've taken since that point could be reclassified from a dividend, as you call it, onto your overdrawn loan account. And if your last set of accounts show that you have an overdrawn loan and you've not paid it back, the chances are is that figure in your last set of accounts has gone up. It's a big problem because once the insolvency practitioner is appointed, be it in liquidation or in administration, they're going to demand repayment. Like literally, and this is the problem where you can be taken to court. This is the problem where you could lose your home. Please, please do not bury your head in the sand when it comes to overdrawn loan accounts. You know what? At this point, if you're worried about an overdrawn loan or a personal guarantee, I want you to go to the top of the comment section, click that link. One of my team will speak to you today because we can help you understand your position and we can help you actually negotiate a settlement once you go into liquidation. But the key thing, you must understand your position up front, okay? I get a lot of hate for this sometimes. I don't care. Like, I'm here to support you as a director. Going into an insolvency, not understanding where your director's loan sits is one of the most dangerous things that you can do, and it will cost you a fortune, okay? Another real risk is wrongful trading, okay? So you remember the point I touched on earlier about once you become insolvent, you have to put your creditors' interests above your own. Well, if you keep trading and you know the company can't pay its debts, you risk wrongful trading allegations. And this can lead to personal liability for any losses made during that period, okay? It's dead important, stop taking deposits of jobs you're never going to fulfill. Stop getting more stuff from suppliers if you're never going to be able to pay it. Stop racking up HMRC bills if you know that you've got no hope of actually getting out of the hole, okay? It's not automatic, this, but it's a real risk. And if you've been burying your head in the sand, it can cause you big problems. There's a thing called preference payments. Now, a liquidator is going to look at how you treat creditors before you appoint them. So you might have repaid a family loan ahead of HMRC. You might have paid personally guaranteed debts off and not paid anyone else. And if that's the case, you could be made personally liable for those payments. There's another thing called an asset transaction under value. So you can quite legitimately buy your assets of the company that's become insolvent. You can transfer them to a new company. You can transfer them to yourself personally. But you have to pay fair market value for them, okay? So if you think you can sort of sell a 20 grand van for 2,000 quid, or some plant and machinery that has a book value of 100 grand for 5 grand, once the insolvency practitioner is appointed, they're going to look at those transactions and they can be unwound. And again, even worse, they will cash you in a bad light during the investigation period, because here's another risk is you're going to have your conduct investigated. Now, I'm not saying that you can avoid that. I'm not saying there's any tricks to avoid it. But you know what? Acting sensibly and taking proper advice early will improve your conduct report. I'm certain of it. And I want to sort of go on to why does this FIST system feel so against you, okay? And I'll talk to you from my personal experience. And this is what you don't realise. This is what I didn't realise is the insolvency practitioner is not there to work for you. By law, they work for creditors. Their role is to maximise recovery for creditors and investigate the director's conduct. I mean, think about it. When you want an accountant or a solicitor, you go out there and employ one because you want them to act on your best interests. How strange a dynamic is insolvency, because you're going out there. I mean, I implore you, do this voluntarily. Don't get wound up by a creditor. But you're going out there to find an insolvency practitioner to essentially work for the other side. And I think that's why people feel so powerless, because they're not there to protect you, they're not there to advise you. They can advise the company, they can't advise the director, they can't advise you around overdrawn loan accounts, they can't advise you around personal guarantees. But we can at Director first. That's what we do. And we work with a long list of really good licensed insolvency practitioners that we've worked with for years and years. But our role is to help and educate you and guide you through the process. Remember, if you want to speak to one of my team, go in the description below, click on the link, we'll call you today, okay? I think another thing that's scaring people today, and this is going to go out, I think, in November 2025, is how aggressive HMRC is. Like HMRC, since COVID, have really doubled down. Certainly these last few years, they've got more staff, more powers. They've got more enforcement agents out there knocking doors, taking control of goods. The winding up petitions, or the volume of winding up petitions that we're seeing from HMRC at the moment is rising month on month. So if you've got arrears, they're chasing you harder than ever. Like you're getting more letters, more phone calls, more people on the door. And I think, again, that really makes a director feel trapped. And then add to all this, you've got the stigma of insolvency. I felt really ashamed. I thought everybody was talking about me. I thought that I'd failed. I thought I'd let my family down. And insolvency doesn't mean failure. But I thought it did. And I didn't want to talk to anyone. I thought I'd figure it out. There were no videos like this on YouTube when I was going through it, so you're very, very lucky. There were just websites that were confusing. And one thing said different to the other. And I didn't seek advice for a while because I just felt so alone. And that isolation is exactly what was adding to my feeling of powerlessness. I faced a system that I didn't understand alone. And I don't today. Today I've got a way for you to get a little bit of power back in your life. And let's start talking about taking back some power, taking back some control. Listen, what you can do right now is face the numbers. Do not ignore cash flow. Know your debts. Ring up, get statements off everyone. Total all your liabilities and find out who you've personally guaranteed, right? If you're blind to your own numbers, you're always going to feel powerless. Next thing is try and get records up to date, okay? Messy records can make you look reckless. Try your best to get clear, up-to-date records, and it'll help you show you that you've acted responsibly. And it also helps you understand your picture a little bit more. And whatever you do, engage, don't hide. Once you speak to somebody like us, you need to cooperate with us, okay? I get it all the time where people ring us for advice. They even pay for the advice. And then they avoid us and they don't give us the information that we need. And then they get wound up and it's like, listen, we've tried our best to help you. Directors need to engage, and you need to engage early and openly. And the sooner you do that, the more we can help you. Now remember, not every firm's like us, okay? I think you need someone in your corner, someone explaining risks in plain English, helping you prepare for questions, and ideally helping you mitigate risk. And that's where you get power back from someone like us. So why do you feel powerless? Let's sum up. It's because insolvency flips the rules. Insolvency laws say that your creditors come first. Insolvency practitioners take control. There's a load of risks that you're about to hit. There's a load of problems that you're about to face. PGs, directors' loan accounts, wrongful trading, and suddenly you think everything's closing in. But powerless doesn't mean helpless. You can prepare, you can try and control how you respond, and you can try your best to protect your future. But you've got to act early. If you're a UK director and you're feeling powerless right now, don't suffer in silence. Contact us at Director first. We'll explain your risk in plain English. We'll show you how to avoid certain situations or mitigate certain situations, and we'll guide you through the process so you feel back in control. Now listen, if you've enjoyed this video, I want you to go over there and I want you to go onto this video next that tells you everything that you should do. Absolutely everything you should do before you appoint an insolvency practitioner. Thanks for your time, Chris Worden.